DCeric here, and today I'm going to be showing you New Deal Office, an operating system which is installed on top of MS-DOS or DR-DOS. In its early days it was called GEOS or GEOS, and then in the early 2000s it changed its name to New Deal Office, and now they have changed it to Breadbox Ensemble. Now you can get the Breadbox Ensemble from the link on your screen or in the YouTube description below. Now this what you see on the screen here too, the graphics does not come with New Deal Office. Again, I am using Taiwan's DOSBox, which allows me to use a CRT pixel shader, so it gives you that scan line look and the nostalgia look that you're used to from the 90s and the early 2000s. So let's begin this little look into New Deal Office. Now of course you see on your main desktop here you've got the computer, you got document, you've got world and tutorial. Of course the tutorial will just show you how to use the operating system, and I guess I'm pretty much already showing you some of the basics of this operating system. I will not go through like everything. There's just so much on this operating system. It looks right now like it's totally basic and has absolutely nothing, but there is a lot to offer in this operating system, which is the reason why they are still developing the software. It's funny through that each update from GEOS to New Deal Office, they really didn't change a whole lot. I think just some of the names have changed for some of the programs, and I don't even know much else to tell you with that. Breadbox Ensemble, they probably added a few more extra features to be a little more modern with today. So why don't we check out the computer icon on the desktop. Of course, just like Windows XP or any version of Windows, you'll have the computer icon on the desktop, which initially shows you the drives A, B, C, D, and Z. Now of course your C would be the main drive, and yes, I'm using DOSBox again, so I had to do some special hacks in order for this to work. So yeah, the hard drive doesn't have much other than games and New Deal Office on it. Then of course there's the CD drive, and I will be showing you something pretty cool with that later. I do have a music CD in there, and yes, it plays music. There's the Z drive, which is the main drive for DOSBox, so you don't really want to mess around with that too much. And then of course your preferences. Everything is just ultimately basic with this operating system. It's pretty easy to set up your what you need working. As long as MS-DOS itself has all the drivers installed, then from here it's pretty straightforward, and I think I'll show you what I mean by straightforward. So like, I'll click on the modem here. If you have a modem installed on your computer, then you can choose what COM port, which is back in those days was the before USB. So you would have this connected, the cable connected to the computer to a modem, a dial-up modem. So yeah, and I guess yeah, you can use the internet on here as well, and I'll mention that a little bit later as well. Of course there is sound on here, and right now I have it set to Sound Blaster 1.0 because that's what DOSBox has it set up to. So I had to make sure that this was set up accurately, or there's just bugs, because it's just messy with DOSBox and the operating system. And of course there's the video tab, and then you can choose your resolution. This is a little bit tricky for the newer computers, considering a lot of the video cards and adapters here are not up to par with today's technology. So yeah, you have to, what I chose was just 640 by 480, which is probably the best resolution for this old operating system. using widescreen, yeah, I'm sure it can get by, but the quality is nothing to even look at on here. Alright, so yeah, you got the internet tab is there as well, and that is where you would put your information on the screen, and you'd be able to connect to the internet with your dial-up settings. Alright, and of course you have the date and time as well, and it looks like it's automatically set up here, so I'll just get out of here. And then you can change the UI as well. You can get rid of the start menu at the bottom, but I like to make sure we have that little taskbar at the bottom. Alright, and then you can configure the UI. I guess it's what you want to have on the screen. You can change it so the desktop, I guess, uses small icons. Yeah, and every time you change a setting, you would have to restart the operating system, so I just click yes, and you're set right back to the desktop. Yes, it's a little bit ugly on here. It is being emulated, so it's not a real accurate presentation of the operating system. Okay, now it's back to normal. Alright, so yeah, not much more here to show with the icons. They don't look any smaller than what I had it before. Okay, so yeah, again, there's not very much to show here. You can also use a serial connection here as well. I guess it was like you could use external hard drives and that, and then you can connect them through the COM serial port. We won't be needing that, of course. And it had its own built-in fax machine as well, and you could set up your printer if you needed to. There's some sort of thing they mentioned on the Breadbox Ensemble where you could use some software to print off old documents from New Deal Office, and it would look, I guess, pretty interesting. It wouldn't look that great because of how dated this actually is. I do, of course, have floppy disks for this operating system, but yeah, time has kicked into them. They no longer work, so I had to download an ISO of the operating system and use that. And of course, we got the documents folder here as well. And again, this is used for if you use their Word software and you do a document, you could save here. And then of course you got banker files, crossword puzzles, and crossword puzzles would be for the crossword game they have on here, and eStore data files. I don't even know if you want to mess with that stuff there. Office clip art. So yeah, this is mainly just a folder for some of the games and Office suite. And then of course we're welcome to the world of New Deal Office, where everything is for this operating system. You got a book reader here, and I really don't know much about this one, but I guess it's in its early days you could read a similar file to an ebook and then read it from this operating system. There's a calculator, just like Windows, and there you go. It looks like it has a little bit more features than Windows, which is pretty good, It's just bundled right in there. And then, of course, the CD player. Yes, that's right. I said you could play music earlier, and we just double click on this, and I'll start off a little bit of a track and then stop it because of copyright. Alright. So there you go. Yes, you can play music from New Deal Office, which, again, this was making DOS ahead of its time, because you couldn't really use features like this in the early days of DOS. You could only play games, unless somebody made a homebrew CD player. Alright, so I'm going to stop it here. You know, again, copyright infringement, don't want to get myself involved with that crap. Then you have the character map, and don't really understand what this is about. I guess, okay, it looks like I can copy characters if I need to. Oh, that's pretty cool. So if I hold Control, Alt, and U, and I guess I would paste it into a document. Alright, that's interesting. And then of course you got the clock, which is weird. I mean, you already got one on the taskbar, but I guess this would be handy if you're not using the taskbar. Again, you could change that with the UI options in the preferences. Alright, so yeah, not very much anything cool with that clock feature. Then of course you have the Crossword Puzzle, which I mentioned earlier. There's a document folder that contains the crosswords, and then you can, you know, play around with the crosswords if you need to. I'm not very smart with these things, so I'm just gonna exit there. Then of course you got a directory lister, and I guess this would just list files from the desktop. Let's check this out. Alright. Yeah, so, yeah, that's pretty cool. Right on. And then I guess you could print it off, and that's pretty interesting for anybody that really, you know, needs to know what's on their hard drive and then send it to their doctor if they need to. Alright, so there's the eStore, which is the store for the operating system. The company, well, they had a website so you could buy New Deal Office, Geos, or, well, Breadbox Ensemble now. Yeah, none of the old operating systems are available anymore. No more New Deal, no more Geos. It is strictly Breadbox Ensemble. And then we've got Fax Receive. Again, you could use, you know, do faxes and that on this machine. Of course, I can't do it because I don't have a driver for it on here, and it's not very necessary considering I could do that from my own printer inside the house, and I can do it from my computer. File Finder, of course, just like Windows, you can search for a file, so I'm just going to type in that and see what happens. And it didn't do anything. But that's because I had selected documents, so we're going to try it again. Let's see if it'll find Raptor. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so it might take a little while here. I'm not really worried about this, but yes, just like Windows, you type in a word for a file or document, and then you can do it from here, and it should find it. And it did not find Raptor, so I don't know why, but it doesn't matter to me. It will work a lot better than using it on DOSBox, so yeah. Then of course we have Media Viewer, and you'd think, okay, I can watch videos on here. No, you can't. This is just to view pictures, and that's about it. So I guess you could maybe look at, yeah, okay, so they got pictures and stuff on here that I can look at. Yeah, letter A, that's pretty cool. Wow, right on. Yeah, so, you know, you could download pictures off the web, and you could view them on here, but that is pretty funny as well. I have a bunch of floppy disks that I was going through on the weekend. I can't show them on here because I don't have an external floppy disk drive, but I did install New Deal Office on another computer, and the pictures were only viewable in extremely low resolution. I don't even know if it went up to 16-bit. I think it was 256. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I don't really recommend that as a great feature. For some things, maybe. Alright, so New Banker. Don't know much about this stuff, but I guess it's for your banking, you know, considering the name. And then, of course, we have New Calculator, and something tells me this is similar to, yeah, Excel. Yeah, and that's pretty much what it looks like on the screen here. I have no knowledge of Excel, so there's not really much I can show you with this either. Alright, and then of course there's Newcom, and in earlier versions, Geos, it was called Geocom. And this, of course, I forget what the heck this was called, but you could make some things work easier with the machine by doing certain codes in here. I guess it's similar to a terminal, like in Linux. And we got new decks here. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. So if you want to get somebody's phone number down, you've got this software, which, you know, does come pretty handy because Windows doesn't even offer such a thing. Well, I guess they have released a new People's feature built in, but that doesn't give you personal information. If you need personal information, then you'd have to ask a friend and make up a document. But this comes in handy for people who need it. And then, of course, New Draw. This is your Windows Paint of New Deal Office. And you can draw whatever you need to do. And I guess it was pretty interesting back in those days. And I don't even know what the heck I'm doing here. So, yeah. I can't draw a picture, I guess. There we go. Yeah, okay, so you have to select whatever up there. Well, I guess this was ahead of its time back then, considering even Windows Paint doesn't do stuff like this now. Alright, so that is New Draw, the Windows Paint of New Deal Office. We're going to delete it. Don't need to save that. And New File. Don't even know what the heck this is about. But I'm going to do that, and don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, so Field Organizer. I don't know what the heck this is about, so I can't really explain to you, but maybe for those who know anything about this, then there it is. I don't know what to say. And then, of course, New Mail. Just like your Outlook, or I guess they've changed the name now. But yeah, so you can do email and whatever right from your New Deal desktop. So yeah, I can't really show you anything here because it's not using the internet. And then there's New Manager. And okay, this is pretty cool. This is the deluxe version of the computer icon I showed you earlier. And of course, World. I don't know why they didn't just make this the main Outlook for the system. And then I guess you could choose DOS at the bottom there. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Wow, they should have just made this the all-out main display. Alright, well, we don't need to look at that anymore, considering we know all about that now. We've got Planner. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Windows has something similar to that now. You can, you know, if you have something coming up, then you can go to the date and then, alright, that's cool. I got a SDA G and SEG's event coming up on the 19th at 10 a.m. Then I guess it'll let me know. As for now, I really don't know. And I'm going to discard those changes. New Write. Again, this is where you can make your own documents, do your homework, whatever you need to, with the small amount of fonts you can use on the operating system. I do believe you can use some fonts you've downloaded off the internet and then just move them to this operating system. And I think that can be done from the preferences. Yeah, well, there's preferences there. So yeah, there's fonts there, and then okay, you can add fonts. That's pretty cool. And maybe some fonts. Yeah, okay, they don't have any extra fonts, but okay, so you can download some off the internet, and possibly it'll work on here. Don't know how well, but it should work. Scrapbook. Oh, cool. You can create your own scrapbook on here, I guess. And this would contain pictures of whatever you want. Or not. Okay. I don't know much about scrapbooking back in those days, or even if it was a feature on Windows 95. So I'm just going to exit that. Either way, it sounds like it's a cool feature, just don't know much about it. Here is Skipper. This is the worldwide internet available on New Deal Office for MS-DOS or DR-DOS. And we can't view the web on it, but yes, as you see on the screen here is a little bit of a demo of what the internet actually looked like back in those days on New Deal Office. And I'm sure at this point this web browser doesn't have all the features that would be good for most websites these days, so some websites probably won't load or will do a text-based look. And yeah, I'd really love to try this, but at the moment there's a little bit of difficulty considering I had mentioned earlier that this operating system needed to use COM ports. It will not detect PCI ports for dial-up or even Ethernet. This was not compatible with Ethernet or BBA connection. It was used strictly for dial-up, but you had to use a COM port cable from the computer to the dial-up modem, and yes, the rest is history there. So you could use the dial-up modem. And it's a pretty big annoyance that my service provider, you have to pay $1 every hour to use dial-up. And there is some hacks you could use on the internet to make your broadband connection work through the dial-up, but that is just insanely expensive, and I don't want to spend money on something where I'm just going to test it out for a little while and then just say, nah, I'm done. Alright, so here's Solitaire. And then you can, play a game of Solitaire that looks really similar to Solitaire on Windows XP and 95 and 98. Yeah, and there you go. That is Solitaire. I'm not going to play anymore. I get addicted to that. Text file editor. That's right. You can edit text files from any version of Windows right from New Deal Office. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, no. Alright, tutorial. I've already mentioned that. And of course, IRC web chat. Isn't that pretty cool? Yeah, you could use IRC on New Deal Office back in the later 90s and early 2000s. I think GL's probably had that feature as well, but I don't know too much. And then of course there's the web editor. Now the cool thing about this is that I actually have the books that came with my floppies. There's a New Deal web suite, and there's one that shows you how to set up the internet. That was pretty cool. I actually wanted to use that back in the day, but I never did. So yeah, well, that's all the features there. There was another thing I wanted to show on here as well. I don't know if I can find it on here or not. Let me check. Whoops. We go to applications. Oh, new basic. That's exactly what I wanted to show. Yes. There was another folder on here for that, but I don't know where it is. It's not showing on here at all. It used to be in the world too. Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's a folder. Basically, New Deal Office, they wanted you to make your own software for the operating system. This is clearly not very popular for some reason, as on the Breadbox Ensemble website they have forums where people can upload their own software. And on here it's just, again, basic stuff. So you got this little artillery game, and I actually used to play this back in the early 2000s. So you could play with a friend or something. Okay, choose my angle, fire, and see if it actually hits the guy. And no, but yeah, you could go back and forth and whatever. It's an artillery game. And then of course there's a basic calculator, which is completely useless considering there's a more advanced version of that in the world software viewer. Of course there's tic-tac-toe, and what's more fun than that, right? Tic-tac-toe? Yeah, not much, if anything, really. Okay, so yes, this is New Deal Office. I thought I'd give you guys a little viewing of this. Today, it may not be the greatest thing in the world, but it might help you get by. I think it's good for people who do gaming on DOS. Even with DOSBox, maybe if you can get it working better than me. Considering that when you use DOSBox itself, you still have to do all the commands to get the games running, blah blah blah. But if you're using something like New Deal, then you have to just run one command to run New Deal Office, and then New Deal Office will open. So there is one more thing I will show, and that is running a DOS game. Now there's issues with the emulation again through DOSBox. Usually what ends up happening is the keyboard will stop working. I cannot get this working at all. So, what game was I using before? Well, I'm just gonna go with this one then. Why not? Alright, so let's see what happens. Oh, looks like the keyboard's actually working. Yep, that's pretty cool. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but yes, okay, so this is Alien Carnage, which you can get from the 3D Realms Anthology package, which was just released on Steam. And yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to play this game here. This is just to show you the operating system. And what's cool is, okay, if I want to quit this game, then they give you the display of where you can get this game. Of course, this was back then. Numbers that you see on the screen here probably don't work anymore. And then at the bottom it says, do you want to return to New Deal Office? You can either do that or press the ESC escape button to enter or exit to DOS. But we want to go back to New Deal Office. And there we are, with of course the graphical defects of the emulation. But we are right back at the desktop of New Deal Office. Oh, that's cool. There's a little T there. Nice. Okay, so yeah, not really much to show you here anymore. That is New Deal Office. It was pretty cool and high tech for its time. I had a computer in the later 90s with Windows 98. We threw it away because it was just too slow. And then the early 2000s came along, and I mentioned this in another video about my therapist in my high school told me Windows is not you don't need to use Windows, it's not that cool. He didn't like Windows, and he said go with DOS because you can use this operating system and use it similar to Windows. At the time I thought it was pretty cool, but there was still the problem that yeah, most Windows programs, all of them, will not work with this operating system whatsoever. You had to have Windows 95 or Windows 98. But this was good for doing homework, and if you could use the internet on it, you could use the internet and you could play DOS games, use DOS software if you needed to. So this is New Deal Office, and if you would like to get something similar to this, then Breadbox Ensemble, pretty much the same. I believe they may have updated it to look more modern. But yes, Breadbox Ensemble is the updated version of New Deal Office, and I hope you get it. If you are interested in this, build up another computer like I did, strictly for New Deal Office and DOS software, or you can use DOS box emulation. I did think the price was a little steep for Breadbox Ensemble. I think it's around $70 or something. Even in the early 2000s, I think my mother spent $80 to $85 on New Deal Office for the DOS computer. To me, it's expensive at this date and time, considering the more modern we get, DOS is getting more, not even noticeable. Mostly for its old DOS games, but again, you can use DOSBox for all that, and there's no real need to resort to another operating system for the internet or doing your homework or whatever. Windows does that all right in one package. So, you know, unless you have idea planning or whatever, you want to use a phone book directory, you could probably still get something like that off the internet. Anyways, okay, I thank you guys for watching. This is your buddy DCeric. I hope you liked this video and come back to see some more videos, again, by your buddy DCeric. Thank you, and goodbye.